What's going on, guys and girls? It's Ghost Robo, and today we are talking all about Destiny 2. I don't think anyone doubted for a second that this game didn't exist, but if you did, Activision confirmed it on a call this past week stating that Destiny 2 will in fact be releasing this fall, 2017. It will have a cinematic story and relatable characters, development's going great, and they're looking for it to be very accessible to new players as well as old players. Now, I have an interesting history with Destiny, so today we're going to go over my top 5 most wanted things in Destiny 2. Now, if you have followed along in my videos, you know that I really loved Destiny before it came out. I thought that their vision and their plan was fantastic. I thought the gunplay was phenomenal. I love what Bungie had done in the past, and this seemed like the logical next step for them. I played a bunch of it very early. I played a bunch of it before launch, and then when I played the full game, I realized it really wasn't quite as fulfilling as I expected. And I really wanted to love it so much more than I did. And just to be clear, I'm not the ultimate Destiny player. Not even very great at it, but I did play through all of Destiny, the original. I played through all of The Taken King, all of Rise of Iron, and dipped into some of the side quests and some of the events. So I do have a pretty decent background in the game. It's not like I didn't finish it. That being said, I think that while the game provides so much fun for so many people, and I'm proud of that just as a fan of gaming, that this has given people thousands of hours of enjoyment, I still think that it could improve in a few specific areas to really be a better game for everyone, and to really make sure Destiny 2 feels like a fully fledged sequel and not just a giant expansion pack. And let's be clear, I'm very excited for Destiny 2. I cannot wait to see what they have created, what they deliver, how they choose to implement new aspects and carry over old aspects and create this amalgamation that becomes Destiny 2 and is their new next-gen only game. I'm super pumped for that. And I really want to know what you guys want out of Destiny 2 in the comments, so don't be shy. Let's definitely talk about that. But let's get to my list. And we'll kick off with what to me is the most important one, and that's that they, number one, in Destiny 2, give more abilities and more upgrades, more progression to your character. Now, I know they have that in some capacity. You know, there's a lot of passives, there's a lot of stats, there's a lot of, you got the grenade, you got the melee, you got the ultimate super, but I want more of that. I think if they're going to try and target the MMO style, what MMO has one ability? If they're going to try and target more of like a console Mass Effect type game, that still requires more abilities. And I don't need it to be like crazy, like your character is going from grunt to glory throughout the storyline. I think you can still keep things very balanced. But I would love to see more emphasis on your character having a diverse slate of abilities, whether they be combat focused, movement focused. Sure, keep the passive stuff, but I want to see more stuff that's actualized in-game. I want to feel much more of an improvement and of a progression and of a growth of my character. And I know that, they have to balance the PvE and the PvP, but I still think that's possible. You can have a very fully fleshed out character that is still balanced. So I'd love to see them devote more time to taking some aspects of what single-player shooters do so well in giving you a wide arsenal of abilities and bring that into this space, because I think it's still totally doable with the multiplayer focus. Like I said, MMOs do dozens of abilities, so there's no reason that you can't have more than one ability equipped at a time as active abilities. I think just even 3 abilities would make the game feel so much more varied, at least to me. Now, the number 2 thing is a story worth caring about and cutscenes that deliver on that promise. Now, they definitely are hinting that that's where they're going with, quote, cinematic story and relatable characters, something that wasn't really present a whole lot in Destiny 1. They do incredible cutscene work there. Their cinematics are some of the best. And so I'd love that to be the foundation for a really interesting and engaging storyline that I think they have the capacity to tell. Whatever you think about Halo, they told some pretty interesting stories, and I think that they could do an even better job with more diverse characters, with diverse races, with diverse planets, and bringing together a very big storyline. I think they can do a big, bold story and be engaging and interesting, and I really hope that Destiny 2 focuses on being a plot-driven experience, at least for the PvE stuff. Sure, you can have your raids and your PvP and even your strikes, and that's great. That should all be there. But I do want that main thread to be something that is compelling for more than just the great gunplay and for the grind. I want it to be compelling because they have characters that you identify with and attach to. And like, look, this is a big universe. There's a ton of lore. And I'd love to see them express that via cinematics and via a main plot. I think it would also benefit the missions of the game. If there was more interesting story, if there was more engaging story, if there was more plot there, I think that those missions that may be a little bit pedestrian on the surface would feel a whole lot more important if your reason for them and the motivation for them and sort of the interstitials between them was more interesting. Now, number 3 is something that I think everyone that's played Destiny felt at least early on, and that's more diverse locations that affect the gameplay or at least affect our eyes in a greater way. You know, we initially heard about all these planets, all these locales, and then that list was whittled down to a very small core few. And they expanded upon it with their expansions, as expansions should do, but I think that they can deliver much more of the original concept art vision of planets that are lush jungles and planets that are barren, rocky expanses and planets that have some sort of gameplay effect or more gameplay effect, whether that be, some that are denser, some that are more open, some that have, creatures to go along with the factions we already know, some that have more of an exploration focus. I think that, visuals would be great as well, but I'm talking more than like color palettes and different shaped buildings. I'm talking like a lush, dense jungle versus like a barren open moon. And I think we need to, besides the colors and the look, have some identifying factors for where we are and why we're there. And that's, again, ties into the story. But now, hopefully, distanced from last generation, they can use the power of the current consoles to really deliver us unique and exciting environments that have a lot more memorable qualities to them. And I understand that typically in MMOs, the play spaces themselves are not really the star of the show, but I think that given what Bungie has done in the past, given the gorgeous overall aesthetic and look of Destiny, why not push this to its limit and really give us some planets that are worth talking about? And I hope that there's a lot more of them. I hope that there's a lot more diversity, and I hope it feels like you are really, conquering the entire galaxy or universe or whatever, and not just a few repeated locations. And I think that's important as well, that there is more variety in the grind and in the locations you have to deal with over and over again, and I'll get to more of that later. But I really would love to see planets be something that is exciting and has some sort of living quality. I'm not going to design the game for them, but I do hope that they find a way to incorporate gameplay elements to the different locales that you travel to. Now, number 4 is maybe a very personal one, but I would love to see merit-based rewards. I hated playing the strikes and getting the most kills or the second most or even the least and having it randomly assign loot. I didn't like getting double as many kills as my friends and then getting nothing, while the guy in last place got the coolest piece of gear. It's ridiculous to me that you could sit there and literally not touch the controller and get better loot than the person that carried the whole squad. So I know that balance is important, and I know that RNG is like a critical and very sacred aspect of Destiny, but I think they have to reward players in the cooperative sense for doing a good job. And maybe there needs to be more gating with levels. A side sort of point that I'd love to see is I don't ever want to encounter where someone 10 levels above me enters my game and kills the boss that I'm fighting, or kills all the enemies and wipes out an area. That was literally my least favorite moment in Destiny history, was playing a mission single player, at least I intended to, and having other people come and wipe the boss because they were such a higher level. So maybe it requires a more strict gating, and I know I could have taken things offline, I understand that, but I really would love to see more of a competitive aspect to the strikes, and I think that would be really fun. And I hope that, because like strikes inherently are a great idea, and I think that they can get even better about the boss designs, and I think they can get even better about the patterns. Maybe this ties into, you add a few more movement abilities, and then you can get the bosses being more crafty. I don't know if any of you have played the demo for Nier Automata, and I know that that's a vastly different genre, but some of the boss design there is really cool on how it feels more like a bullet hell experience, instead of like a take cover, shoot, 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 take cover, shoot, shoot, shoot. Like, I think there's more opportunity to expand upon the characteristics and the patterns and the playstyles of the bosses, and so I'd love to see strikes fleshed out in more than one way. But specifically, that merit-based loot, I need to be in there. The fifth and final one on sort of my current wish list is a variety in the grind. Like, I'll be up front, I don't really like grinding, and so I understand that in a lot of ways I just don't get it. But I think that it would benefit them to have more unique and exciting side quests and grinding opportunities in order to really be a game that fires on all cylinders no matter how or when you're playing. I think the patrol zones are fine, but it really gets old after a while, and those side quests to me were incredibly boring. And I'm not saying you need to craft like these linear missions through gorgeous mansions and make it all, frou-frou and story focused, but at least some side quests and some grinding that is diverse enough to keep me hooked. Right? Because the combat itself, the gameplay itself, the controls are beautiful, right? That is the most brilliant aspect of Destiny to me, and so that doesn't need to change. They have the inherent hook there. Their loop is fantastic, right? Their loop is fun. Their loop is better than most other loops out there. But now we need, I think, more interesting things to do with that loop. And I know that was a complaint early on in main Destiny. Like, okay, going and pressing a button and defending an area while the ghost does work, gets old after a while. And I think the same can be said of side quests. And I'd love to see some more collectibles or some more challenges or some more interesting elements incorporated. Like I said, I know, they are in a very unique genre, in a very unique space, but I think about some elements of like, Assassin's Creed or Crackdown, where I had fun collecting the agility orbs, I had fun collecting the feathers. And maybe you incorporate a little bit more platforming into Destiny. It definitely shows up in some instances, but what if you had more challenge-driven aspects to the game that helped contribute to your XP, but also helped contribute to collectibles, and at the same time was a fun diversion from the main missions and the main quests and the main action? If we could have more scored or challenge-based things that involve, racing or, like I said, platform challenges, or even shooting combat challenges that were more, I guess, like I said, like more side quest oriented rather than separate pieces, or rather than just sort of the random dynamic events. I would honestly prefer them to be more thought out, and then things that you activate or begin within the game. And I think another one, and maybe this is number 6, or maybe this is just a small point, is that the worlds feel more unified, and that's something that the rumor and the reports are that they are doing. Now having the game be next gen or current gen only, they are working to make more unified and coherent worlds, less loading, less interstitial, less gaps, and I think that will really. It's a small thing, but it'll play heavily into making it feel like a more unified and full world without having to constantly, menu out and load in and all that. So those are the things that I really want to see from Destiny 2, and I'm curious to know what you guys want to see from Destiny 2. Make sure to let me know in the comments below your thoughts, your desires, your hopes. It kind of sounds like they are going with a brand new, fresh start. Maybe your character will not transfer over, maybe some aspects will, but again, when they say things like they want it to be accessible to new players, to me that speaks to maybe a new kind of character, a new kind of creation, a new way of doing things, or at least enough of a new way that you're not going to be fully transferring your character over. That was initially their goal, to have you carry your character over, the course of this 10-year Destiny life cycle, but it sounds like that may have changed, and for me, I think that's great. I think a fresh start allows them to really implement some new ideas in ways that a direct carryover would prevent. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. I am super pumped for Destiny 2, excited to see what they do, hoping that they incorporate some of the things that I wish for, and we'll just have to see. Coming out this fall, it should be a good one. Big games this year. New Mass Effect, Horizon, Nintendo console, Zelda, God of War. Destiny 2. Lots of great stuff. Can't wait to see it. Can't wait to play it. Can't wait to talk about it with all of you guys and girls. So until that time, everyone, thanks again for watching. Have a fantastic day. Drink some hot chocolate. And we'll see you all later.